Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's teachings with Venerable Lina. This is the meditation that leads up to the teachings. And today we'll do the meditation on the advantage of remembering and the disadvantage of not remembering death. If you're just like me, coming back from some other purpose, you may need to just sit comfortably in the chair, breathe calmly, and just feel settled in the moment. Take 3 deep breaths and just sense the position you are seated in. Sense the floor beneath you, the chair, the cushion. See if you can get some sense of the space that you're located in. And the sounds in the room, outside the room. And now switch to your inner person, to the sounds inside of you. Do a short body scan, just sensing that you're here in the moment. And now again, switch to the mind with which we are gonna do this analytical meditation. And we will adopt the 7-point meditation posture. Focus on the breath. And now generate bodhicitta motivation for doing the meditation. Think, the purpose of my life is to lead all sentient beings from suffering and into enlightenment as fast as possible. In order to do this, to be able to do this, I must first reach enlightenment myself. Reaching enlightenment depends on completing the graduated path to enlightenment. Among other things, doing so including realizing impermanence and death. Therefore, I'm going to meditate on impermanence and death, in particular the 6 disadvantages of not remembering death, and the 6 advantages of having such remembrance. I will guide you through all of these points. The first disadvantage is that not remembering Dharma. Think, if you don't remember death, you won't be afraid of death. And if you're not afraid of death, you won't remember to practice the Dharma. Think that you don't want to waste your precious life with worldly pursuits, following attachment to the comfort of this life, working for money, sense pleasures, clothing, shelter, reputation, and all the other useless things that benefit only this life. By failing to practice Dharma, you will completely waste your precious human rebirth. The second disadvantage of not remembering death is that even though you remember to practice the Dharma, you keep putting it off. Think, if I don't maintain constant awareness of death, even though I remember to practice Dharma, instead of doing it, I'll keep procrastinating, postponing my practice. If I don't remember death, I'll always have the thought, I'm not going to die today. And that will make me think, I'll just practice tomorrow. You are, however, running the risk of dying before you've been able to practice any Dharma whatsoever. The third disadvantage is that, that remembering to practice and not putting it off, but the Dharma practice that you do becomes impure, polluted, tainted by attachment, defiled by the 8 worldly Dharmas. Think, if I allow myself to fall under the control of attachment, of the desire to receive material things, comfort, fame, praise, and aversion, to not receiving material things, being uncomfortable and being badly thought of, criticized, even when I do try to practice Dharma, my motivation will be more concerned with the comfort of this life, and this will poison whatever Dharma practice I undertake. So think, whatever Dharma I try to practice might end up being impure and therefore non-Dharma. The fourth disadvantage of not remembering death is that even though you remember to practice Dharma, you don't practice seriously or continuously. See if you can think, if I don't constantly remember death, I'll be unable to persevere in my practice and will easily get distracted. Even though I remember to practice Dharma, don't put it off, and even practice purely after a short time, because I've forgotten that my death is imminent. My time to practice Dharma is rapidly running out. I'll get bored, will want to do something new. All this is the fault of attachment to the comfort of this life, and that comes from not remembering impermanence and death. The fifth disadvantage of not making no effort to control the negative mind and easily creating negative karma. Contemplate that if I don't remember that death can come at any moment, I'll very easily allow myself to fall under the influence of attachment to pleasure, to being with someone or to possessing something, instead of thinking I shouldn't follow attachment because I could die at any moment. And if I die with strong attachment in my mind, I'll definitely be reborn in the 3 lower realms. I'll allow myself to fall under the control of attachment. And when I do that, get angry because I've forgotten death, instead of thinking anger is the most dangerous of negative minds, it destroys all of my merit and causes me to be reborn in hell. And since I can die at any moment, if I die with strong anger in my mind, there's no way I'll be reborn in the upper realms. You might even think that it's okay, I can always purify later. But this too is the shortcoming of not remembering impermanence and death. The sixth disadvantage of not remembering death is that when you die with much worry and regret. Think, if I don't remember death, I'll be unprepared. When the time to die arrives, I won't be able to die with a positive, virtuous mind. I'll be afraid. My mind will be full of regret. All I'll be able to think of is how much time I've wasted, the things I didn't do. If it's so hard to remember Dharma even now, while I'm healthy and all my faculties are intact, what chance will I have to generate a positive attitude at the time of death, when my mind is out of control and all the negative karmas that I've created in this and previous lives are bursting to manifest? Instead of dying in a positive frame of mind, I'll die in a negative frame of mind and will be born in that way. Now shift your attention to the advantage of contemplating and thinking about impermanence and death. The first one is that it is most beneficial. Think that remembering death makes my whole life meaningful and gives it great purpose. By maintaining constant awareness of death, I'll always be mindful to practice Dharma and to transform all of my actions, even what would be normally considered worldly ones, into Dharma. Understanding that life is short and constantly running out, I'll be aware that I have to make every moment a step closer to enlightenment. Because each moment that passes without being transformed to Dharma is a moment, an opportunity lost forever. The second advantage of remembering death is that it is most powerful. Think now. Remembering death is one of the most powerful and effective ways in which I can destroy my delusions and negative minds. At the moment, it's very difficult for me to meditate on emptiness when strong anger arises, especially in the heat of the moment. But remembering that I could die at any moment is well within my capabilities, and is therefore a very effective way of bringing me to my senses. When anger arises, I should think, I could do right now, die right now. How ridiculous is it to be angry, to leave yet another imprint of anger on my mind? What a waste of my perfect human rebirth. You may come to the conclusion that you may never, ever allow yourself to get angry. Remember, impermanence and death is equally powerful in subduing any other delusions arising strongly in your mind. The third advantage of remembering death is that it's important at the beginning of the practice. Think that the purpose of my life is to practice Dharma. The reason I was born human is that many of my previous lives worked hard to create merit, to practice morality, generosity, and make stainless prayers, to again be born human, to continue the practice of Dharma. And that is why I have found a perfect human rebirth this time. I must not allow to waste all the incredible effort I made in my previous lives. It will be worse than squandering a fabulous inheritance. And since I can die at any moment, I must start practicing Dharma immediately. The fourth advantage is the importance of it once we have set out on the Dharma path. Think now that I'm on the path to enlightenment. No matter what difficulties arise when I try to study or practice meditation, by remembering impermanence and death, I'll be able to overcome them. No matter how hard it is to understand the teachings on emptiness or other difficult subjects, no matter how hard it is to get up early, to keep precepts, to do long retreats, to battle the delusions, to develop single-pointed concentration, remembering impermanence and death, it will allow me to eventually accomplish all these virtuous activities. And the fifth advantage allows us to complete our Dharma practice and attain enlightenment. Think how Milarepa said, through fear of death, I fled to the mountains where I realized the nature of the mind. Now death holds no fear for me. Just as mindfulness of death allowed him to remain in extremely harsh conditions and complete all the difficult austere practices and attain enlightenment. In the same way, it can help us when we approach the end of the path. May you and I become like that. The sixth and final advantage allows us to die happily without regret. Think, as long as I remember impermanence and death, I'll always remember Dharma. As long as I remember Dharma, I'll keep practicing and may even become like those great practitioners for whom death is a picnic. Even if I don't look forward to death, I can still die with the confidence that I won't be reborn in the 3 lower realms. It may be difficult to look forward to death or see it as a picnic. However, if not that, at least be able to die without feeling regrets that you wasted your life. See if you can spend a minute just to rewind and think about the disadvantage and the advantage of remembering death and impermanence. Take them with you to the teachings, till after the teachings. Keep them in mind for tomorrow. Make it meaningful, constructive, not based on fear or irrational thoughts and concepts. And we will go to the dedications. And we will dedicate the merit of this meditation. You may think that because of the merit of having done this meditation on impermanence and death, may I quickly become Buddha for the sole purpose of leading all sentient beings into this enlightened state. And may all of the practice and reflections that we've had for the past 20 minutes be meaningful, constructive, useful, so we ourselves can be enlightened and inspire people around us, motivate them to make this precious human rebirth meaningful, so we won't have any regrets, no regrets now, during the practice, or at the end of our lives.